Yo, what's up? Figured I'd do a video. There's a really good promo for today on this platform that I've been betting on and I've been able to find a lot of value on called No House Advantage. So basically for their 5 pick entries, so 5 leg parlays essentially, they're boosting your payout from 21x to 30x. So let me actually just open up No House Advantage. I didn't realize I didn't have it opened up, but I'm sure we'll be able to find a ton of plays on this platform. So let's just go ahead. Let me share my screen and we'll rip a bunch of bets on No House Advantage, right? So this is the platform. Well, I got to log in. So let me log in quickly. So basically, with this promo, and it's a pretty insane promo, we'll go through the math very briefly. So what we can do is we can share my screen. Boom. Okay. So with this promo, right, 5 pick entries, 5 leg parlays, you got to go 5 for 5. They're boosting your payout to 30x. So what you can do is you can essentially go and you can back out what percentage of your picks do you have to win to be profitable. And what you're going to see is it's 50.65%, right? So for this No House Advantage promo, I think it runs until 3 p.m. Eastern, so another 50 minutes. If you're hitting your player props 50.65% of the time, you're going to be profitable, right? So you don't even need much of an advantage to make money on this promo. Like, for example, if we look at the soccer player prop, like you just have to be able to get these over unders correctly 50.65% of the time for this promo. So there's basically no juice baked in. If you look at PrizePicks, for example, on PrizePicks, you got to win 54.25% of your player props. You got to be able to get these over-unders correctly, just like this, right? So if you can get your over-unders correctly, like Jalen Brunson, over-under 25.5 points, if you can get these correctly, you got to win over 54.25% to be profitable on PrizePicks. Whereas for this No House Advantage promo, just literally going through the math, a 30x payout means you got to hit 50.65% of your picks to be profitable, right? You got to get these over-unders correctly 50.65% of the time. And if you had no advantage, right? If you had no edge, no advantage, if you let your grandma blindly select overs or unders, you're going to get 50% right, 50% wrong, right? No advantage is 50% right, 50% wrong. You're only going to be able to get your over-unders correctly 50% of the time. But for this promo, you still got to win your player props 50.65% of the time. So long story short, what we can do is we can essentially go to the fantasy screen, and typically on No House Advantage, you have to win your player props 53.22% of the time to be profitable. But with this promo, it's a lot lower. So basically, everything is profitable, right? You just need a slight advantage or a slight, you need the sports books to be slightly favoring either an under or an over, and your play is going to be profitable. So if you look at Bryce Harper, just as a simple example, if we go to the MLB and then we head over to batter props and then we go to singles. So where is it? So if we go to singles, you're going to see like for Bryce Harper, his under is favored, right? His under is minus 125 odds. His over is minus 105. So DraftKings and these other sports books, right? The fantasy, screen, it essentially is just reading in. So Screen Fantasy Optimizer is just reading in all the odds from sports books and just showing you, what's the win probability for this bet based on sportsbook odds. So we know sportsbooks have Bryce Harper's under slightly favored around minus 125 odds, minus 125 here. Caesars has this at minus 141, BetMGM minus 130. All books have Harper's under favored. So this is a great player prop to go with. And this will be the first player prop, I guess, that we go with on No House Advantage. And you could do this all day long with this promo. Like you can see right here, it says unlimited entries, $10 max bet size. So finding player props where there's just slight juice towards the under, I mean, you could literally just pull up DraftKings, pull up NHA, and just kind of see, okay, where does DraftKings have an under or an over slightly favored, right? For Bryson Stott, DraftKings has the same odds for his over and his under. So DraftKings is telling you both picks are 50% to hit, right? If a sports book is giving you the same odds on an over and an under, it's saying, okay, both the over and the under have the same win probability, right? If the sportsbook's giving you the same odds on the over and the under, there's no it's 50-50 to occur. Stott, his single line, he's 50 to go over, he's 50% to go under. So the first play we want to take is Harper under half of a single, and then we'll just go to Cabrera under 5.5 strikeouts, right? So we're, quite literally just taking the top picks for this promo. And what you're going to see is if you can hit your, player props in this promo, if you can just win 52.5% of your picks, your ROI on this promo is going to be 20%, right? So you can kind of use this spreadsheet. I'll actually just put it in the little chat thing here. What's up, guys? So let me go ahead. I'll share that, and then let's lock in some plays on No House Advantage, right? And sometimes PrizePicks is running good promos. They have Taco Tuesday. Sometimes it's No House Advantage offering these crazy, promos. So today there's obviously going to be a lot more value on No House Advantage over the next 44 minutes. So then we want Sam Bennett over half of a point, right? Sportsbooks have his over half of a point. So him to have a goal or an assist as the slightly favored outcome. You go to DraftKings, you go to NHL. Where are you? So hockey, apparently not popular on DraftKings enough to be on the main screen. But if we go to player props, points, right? If we look up Sam Bennett, you're going to see they have his over slightly favored, right? So Sam Bennett, according to the sports books, according to the market, everything's baked into the market, all historical data, right? Everything's encompassed in the odds. So this will be the next player prop I go with, Sam Bennett to record a point. So we want to take his over, right? So literally just ripping the data. Then we have Edward Olivares to record a single. So back to the MLB. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here, then we're going to head over to the MLB. And you could do this all day long. Obviously, for this promo, like NHA is a fixed payout platform, pretty similar to PrizePicks. Then we want Gallo under half of a run. So we can go ahead and we can just add this in, right? So what you're going to see is $10, right? I'm betting $10 to win 300. No House Advantage is a platform where they're not changing your payout, right? Based on you selecting overs versus unders, you're always getting this 30x payout, right? It doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, your payout stays the same. So the strategy for beating them and beating this promo is you just got to find player props winning over 50.65% of the time. So you look for spots, right? This is pretty, rational, data-driven sports betting. You look for spots where sports books have an over or an under favored. In this case, for Sam Bennett, his over is favored. We want to take his over in our parlay play slip. So 5 picks I'm going with. Harper, Cabrera, Bennett, Olivares to record a single, Joey Gallo, no run. And then you can, and it's going to say you have selected an offer. So I got to refresh. So I guess one of the plays left. The only annoying part about this is it's just time intensive. It doesn't look like any of the plays changed either, but whatever. So we'll go ahead and we'll just kind of redo this. So there's actually a slightly better play, which I guess is better for us. So we want Rutschman to not record a run. We want Harper to not have a single. We want Sam Bennett to record a point. And you can see right here, right, just literally ripping all these plays. We want Olivares to record a single and Joey Gallo, no run. So we can do Olivares to record a single and then Joey Gallo, no run, right? And it's really that simple. Obviously, because this is a fixed payout platform, like you want your player props to be winning at the highest possible rate. 50.65% is the break-even win rate. But I mean, basically any of these, like you could do this all day long. So we'll go ahead and we'll just lock this in for $10, just taking the 5 picks from the fantasy screen. So you can see them right here if you want to tail. And again, like this is just another benefit as well of having more than one sportsbook account, right? You're going to see No House Advantage has, promos. It looks like it's every single Wednesday. I believe they run this promo. I've seen it a few times now. Sometimes Underdog Fantasy has a promo. Doesn't look like they do today. PrizePicks has Taco Tuesday on Tuesdays. So the more books you have, right, the more promos are going to be available to you. And No House Advantage, I mean, this is marketing cost for them. They know they're going to lose money on this promo. This promo is insanely profitable. The only annoying part is it's $10 max bet size. But I mean, you could rip entries all day long. So what we can do next is just kind of flip over to the positive EV tool. So Jock Market is a new platform. It works exactly like PrizePicks. Their 5 pick entries have the same payout as a PrizePicks flex play. So you can see this is your payout for a flex play. You go 5 for 5, 10x. So this is another fixed payout platform. PrizePicks is another fixed payout platform, kind of like No House Advantage. And Jock Market is just like a new competitor to PrizePicks, right? It works in the exact same way. They offer the same payouts as PrizePicks. But the reason, the incentive to sign up for Jock Market is, again, like, you never know which book is going to have value on a given day. So today, this profitable bet from, the positive EV tool, it's on Jock Market, not on PrizePicks, right? All the sports books have us under heavily favored. Jock Market is one of those platforms, just like No House Advantage, where they're not changing our payout, just like Underdog as well, right? All these platforms, they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under, or the picks you select, right? If we want to include an NHL player prop, we're still getting that same 6x payout. So the strategy for beating all these platforms is you got to win over 50% of your player props. The numbers slightly vary from platform to platform. So on PrizePicks, you got to win 54.25% of your player props to be profitable. On No House Advantage, it's 53.22%. But long story short, like, you never know which book is going to have value on a given day. Sometimes there's a lot of plays on Parlay Play, which is another platform. So I use them all, right? And it's same with betting on sports books as well. I've used, well over 40 sports books. And you can see here, there's value on this platform called Cut. So I don't know much about it. It's a new book that people, asked us to add to OddsJam, but clearly they're offering value. Like in the Maple Leafs versus Panthers game, they're giving you the over 6.5 goals at minus 103, and the average price is minus 130. Right? Every sports book has the over heavily favored. So getting minus 103 on this Cut platform is pretty crazy. But again, I haven't used it. I don't know much about it. There's value on FanDuel today, right? Like there can be value on any sports book, long story short. So the more books you have, the better. Circa, Jock Market, right? Sometimes it's FanDuel, sometimes it's Stake, and sometimes you don't have access to these books, right? Like Stake, I'm pretty sure it's a Canadian sports book. TonyBet, I'm also pretty sure is a Canadian sports book. They're giving you Jake Fraley to get a hit at minus 111 odds. You look at the sports books, the average price is minus 142. You found a lot of value, right? All of these sports books, that really is the key to sports betting, is like all these books, right? You want to find inefficiencies in the market. You want to find value in the market. All these books are data points. They're all, just data points telling you where a line should be set. And you're going to see here, all the books have, Fraley very heavily favored to get a hit around minus 150. You can get this minus 111 on TonyBet. I would love to place that bet, but I'm not in Canada, so I can't. I don't have access to the sports book. But long story short, like, you want to get as many sports books as you can, because the more books you have, more profitable betting opportunities you're going to see. So what we can do is we can just add in, a few of the sports books. So DraftKings, there's some profitable bets, but I'm currently not in a state with DraftKings, so I'm going to filter that out. We have Underdog Fantasy, we have PrizePicks, and then we can add in Parlay Play. So you can just add in, all the sports books you use, kind of hunt around the market, look for value. Today, it looks like there's, pretty good plays on what am I talking about? On Jock Market. So again, Jock Market, they have the same payout structure as PrizePicks, right? PrizePicks is a platform where it doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, doesn't matter at all. Like any 5 picks you select, you're going to see the same payout, right? So this is the payout you're getting on PrizePicks. Under, same payout, right? It doesn't matter at all. So all you got to do to be profitable on this platform is win 54.25% of your picks. You got to be able to hit 54.25% of your player props, your over-unders on PrizePicks to be profitable. If you have no advantage, right, you're only going to be able to get these over-unders correctly 50% of the time, right, if you have no advantage. So what you do is you turn to sports books, and it's just, rational sports betting is for Brett Beatty. All the sports books have his over heavily favored. You don't have to know anything about this guy, right? This isn't about the sports, right? 99% of bettors, they bet with their gut, right? 99% of sports fans try to bet on sports. But the truth is like sports books know sports. The market knows sports. Everything's baked into the market. If this guy had 4 hits last game, 2 hits last game, if he's had 3 games without a hit, right? Everything is baked into the market. Just like the price of a stock, good economic news comes out, the price of the stock will go up. Everything's reflected in the market. So unless you think you're smarter than, the sports books, every other sports bettor, you think you're smarter than the market, like there's no debating that Brett Beatty is more likely to get a hit as opposed to not get a hit, because all the sports books have his over half of a hit heavily favored, right? So the market is telling you this guy's a lot more likely to get a hit than to not get a hit. And you have dozens of data points telling you that, right? These are just the sports books I've selected, but if you switch to a different state, so you can switch around your state. So if we switch this to a different state, what you're going to see is like, oh, now there's a play on Hunter Green, right? It's like there's tons of sports books, tons of data points, right? And all these books are, telling you, hey, Hunter Green, he's a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. So that would be a good play to include on Jock Market, because on these fixed payout platforms like PrizePicks, right, all you're trying to do is win your player props a certain percentage of the time. And that's how you make money on these platforms. So a lot of these plays you'll see on the positive EV tool. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's flip back to Virginia or New York or something like that, and we can start looking for some more plays. And then we can also just lock in another no house advantage slip. So I'll refresh this, and just following the data. So you're going to see for Grandal, his over half of a single. So he's more likely to get a single than to not get a single. So the sports books, we're following the data. Sports books are telling us, hey, this guy's more likely to get a single than to not get a single. So what we can do is we can just refresh no house advantage, and then we can find some plays. So we want to take him over. We want to take Harper under. We want to take Vogelback under half of a base. We can skip over the hockey play if we want. And some people, you can include these plays kind of as much as you want. So India and Stevenson, no single. Okay. And India, Jonathan, India. So now we have 5 more picks, right? All these player props are winning over 50.65% of the time. So they're going to be profitable in a no house advantage entry. So I just took the 6 top baseball picks. You could throw in Sam Bennett again. Again, it doesn't really matter. You're just looking for 5 picks that are winning over 50.65% of the time. Like with these fixed payout platforms, all that matters is your win rate, right? They're not varying your payout based on you selecting over or under. You don't get a higher payout for including more basketball picks or soccer picks or whatever. They're just paying you out 30x, for any 5 picks you select. So long story short, you turn to the sports books and look for spots where sports books have an over or an under, favored. And ideally, there's a lot of juice towards the over. Like Ryan O'Reilly to get a point would probably be a better play in our entry than Sam Bennett to get a point. Because again, DraftKings has the over slightly more favored. For Ryan O'Reilly, they have his over half of a point at minus 130, right? So a bit more favored than Sam Bennett. His is only at minus 125. So according to the market, right, according to the sports books, Ryan O'Reilly is a slightly bigger favorite to record a point than Sam Bennett. That's what the market's telling you. So anyways, let's lock in this play. So 5 more picks. And it's going to make me refresh again. So this is the annoying thing is, sports betting, you make money doing it. This is quite simply the math behind NHA. You got to win 50.65% of your picks to be profitable for this promo. Just kind of time intensive. You got to find the plays, max bet size of $10. So you're kind of just hunting around. Vogelback under half of a base, Stevenson under half of a single. So Vogelback under half of a base, Stevenson under half of a single. And then we want AD over 26.5 points plus assists, and India under half of a single. So AD over 26.5 points plus assists. You can see the sports books have the over slightly favored. So the over, if sports books have the over favored, the over is more than 50% to win. So India, we want under half of a single, and then we want AD. So we'll switch over to the NBA over 26.5 points plus assists. And hopefully they take this bet. Please don't be a janky platform. Okay, so they take the bet. And again, just kind of ripping picks. If you see any you like, Bobby Witt under half of a run. You can also do things like, you can try to pair together positively correlated outcomes. So for example, Machado and Bogarts to get a single, both are slight favorites, right? So if we go back to DraftKings and you look at the MLB lines, Yankees up 11-2 on the A's. Cool. But if we go over to batter props and then we go to singles, right? What you're going to see is who are we looking at, right? Machado is a slight favorite to record a single, same odds as Bogarts, Xander Bogaerts. So both players are favored to get a single. And you can kind of assume right? These outcomes are they're probably a little bit correlated. So what I mean by that is if, the Padres have a good game, they're putting up a lot of runs, then Machado is probably, going to get a single and Bogarts is going to get a single. They're going to have more at bats, right? It's kind of like if you take in a PrizePicks entry, let's say, what's a good example? What's a good example? Curry assists and Looney points are probably positively correlated, right? NBA center points, NBA point guard assists. Those are positively correlated outcomes. So you get a little bit of a benefit by including like Looney points and let's say Curry assists in the same PrizePick slip. So what we can do is we can go back here. And the same thing goes for like, player bases, player runs, stuff like that. Like for Andrew Vaughn, his under half of a run is favored, right? So we'd probably prefer to take other White Sox players to also go under half of a run, right? Because again, like if the White Sox have a great game, they're putting up a lot of runs, then Andrew Vaughn will be more likely to score as well as his teammates. So you kind of want to take overs for player runs together, unders for player runs, right? Overs for player bases, and it's not a huge bump; it's just a little bit. But what you can see is we'd want to take Bogarts over, and then we'd want to take Machado over, so we can form one last little slip. Again, you could do this all day long because this promo is so profitable on no house advantage. So hopefully they keep running it because this is a great promo. So what we can do is then we can look up other Padres players. So it looks like it's just these two plays. And then we can look up other Phillies players, right? So that seems decent, right? Take Real Muto under half of a single along with Harper under half of a single. So kind of positively correlated, right? If the Phillies, get shut out, if they're not having a big game, then Harper and Real Muto will probably have a lower number of at bats. So these outcomes are kind of positively correlated. So, and we could sit on this page all day long and just find picks for this no house advantage promo. But what we'll do is we'll take Vogelback under half of the base, and then we'll lock this in. And you're going to see there's another pick, taking 2 overs from the Padres game together, 2 unders from the Phillies game together, and then this, random MLB bet. They are moving very, very, very fast right now. No, so basically, right, like, if the sports books have the same odds for the over and the under, then they're saying, right, like for, let's say, Dansby Swanson. The sports books have his over at minus 115, his under at minus 115. So what you can do is you can pull up this little no vig calculator, which is essentially, this is how sports books work, right? They have models. So DraftKings has a model. This is how every single sports book works, right? They have a model, DraftKings, that says, okay, Swanson is 50-50 to record a single or not have a single. He's 50-50 to have a single, not have a single. So what they do is, you can think about it, is if he's 50-50 to have a single or not have a single, then the sportsbook is going to give you the same odds on the over and the under, right? If the sportsbook's giving you the same odds on the over and the under, so you can imagine, like, if we go to, the NBA tonight, the Knicks are favored to win the game. The sportsbooks, the market is telling you the Knicks are more likely to win this game. And some people will be like, oh, well, I think the Heat are more likely to win. Well, if you truly believed that, and if you had confidence in it, right, you're getting the Heat at plus 140. So if you thought the Heat were more likely to win the game, then getting them at plus money would be, obviously pretty crazy value. Because you can think about it, the Heat are plus 140. So let's say your unit size is, $100. So I can zoom in on this a bit. But this is why, markets are so powerful in sports betting. So let's say your unit size is $100 and you bet on the Heat money line at, let's just say, plus 140. So you think the Heat are more likely to win. What you're going to do is you're going to bet on the Heat, right? You're going to bet on the Heat at plus money. So let's say you're like, oh, I think the Heat are, 55% to win this game. So you're staking $100 to win 140 in profit. So you think the Heat are 55% to win, right? And 45% to lose. So this is according to you. You think the Heat are 55% to win. So essentially, you're betting 100 to win 140 in profit. So if you believe the Heat were 55% to win the game and you were actually confident in it, right? Because a lot of people, they'll say things, oh, I think the Heat are going to win the game. But if you're not putting money on it, I mean, then your opinion is kind of useless, right? Because, this markets are formed based off what other people are putting money on, right? What sharp bettors, right? Like if there's value in the market, right? Sports bettors try to take advantage. So if the Heat were actually 55% to win the game, every sharp better would be hammering lines at plus 140. And we'll kind of, go through the math here, but if the Heat are 55% to win, you're betting 100 at plus 140 odds, so you're betting 100 to win 140. So what you're essentially saying is 55% of the time, right? If you think the Heat are 55% to win, you're going to be winning 140 bucks. The other 45% of the time you're going to lose, right? The Knicks are going to win the game and you're going to lose your stake of 100 bucks. So essentially you're telling yourself the profit margin of your bet would be $32, right? Like you're betting 100 to win 140 in profit. So if you actually thought the Heat were more likely to win this game, you would be hammering the Heat at plus money line, at plus money. So you can think about it. That's kind of how markets work, right? It's based on supply and demand. If people actually thought, if sharp bettors actually thought the Heat were more likely to win this game, they would hammer all these lines at plus 140, plus 145, right? If there's value in the market, people take advantage. It's a pretty simple concept, right? If there's free money, people take it. The truth is it's really hard to beat markets because it's what everyone thinks. This is the market consensus. The Heat should be plus 140 underdogs. And it's really hard to be smarter than, everyone else, right? Sportsbooks set odds based on supply and demand. If all the action's coming in on the Heat, right, there's millions of people betting on this game. Sportsbooks can't have $10 billion of exposure to the Heat or the Knicks winning, right? So if all the action is coming in on the Heat, you're going to see they're going to move lines towards the Heat, right? So let's say FanDuel keeps taking bets on the Heat. All of the action is coming in on the Heat because everyone thinks the Heat are more likely to win this game. Everyone thinks the Heat are, 55% to win this game. Everyone's going to hammer these lines, right? Because again, if the Heat were actually 55% to win this game, betting this play at plus 140 odds would have $32 in profit margin, right? It's like you're, flipping a coin weighted in your favor with a friend where, if the coin lands on heads, it's 55% to land on heads, you win 140 bucks. If the coin lands on tails, which is only going to happen 45% of the time, you're going to lose 100 bucks, right? So the coin is, the bet would be, or the coin would be weighted in your favor and you're getting a higher payout. It would be the most insane bet ever. So long story short, like everyone would hammer the Heat money line until it was where it should actually be, right? That's kind of just how markets work, right? If people actually believe the price of Tesla stock should be lower, it would already be lower. If people believe Bitcoin should be $10,000, it would be $10,000. The current point it's trading in the market is where supply and demand is equal. So like this is what the market believes is true, right? The Heat should be plus 140 underdogs. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can just pull up the positive EV tool, right? So the whole premise is like not trying to just be smarter than everyone else. That's really what's powerful, about using data in sports betting is you're not saying, oh, I'm smarter than everyone else. You're letting everyone else do the hard work and essentially tell you. So what we can do is we got to add in player props. Okay. So like here, as an example, this is a play I locked in. You'll see it on my Pickett Sports bet tracker. So I use a bet tracker. It's a verified bet tracker. It's called Pickett Sports. And essentially all it does is it reads in your bets from sportsbooks and it gives you pretty little graphs. It tells you your profit and loss by sportsbook, stuff like that. So you can literally follow all of my plays there. It doesn't work for Pickett isn't available for every sportsbook. It doesn't work with every sportsbook. But, for the sports books it does work with, you can obviously follow my plays. So you can sync your Fliff account. And essentially what we're saying is like, right, what you're going to notice is all the sports books have Pablo Lopez's under favored, except for Fliff. Fliff is an outlier, right? Fliff is the only sports book that has his over 6.5 strikeouts favored. They have lines juiced towards the over, right? They have the over at worse odds. So the over is the favorite outcome. worse odds means the favorite outcome. So, pretty simple concept. But like if we look at the NBA games tonight, right, the Warriors are favored to win the game. That's why they're minus 300, right? Minus 300 means roughly they're a 3-1 betting favorite, right? A 3-1 betting favorite means the market is telling you the Warriors are 75% to win this game, right? Minus 300 means 75%. So basically, the way that line movement works in sports betting, so you can see the Warriors have moved from minus 250 all the way down to minus 320, right? So they opened on May 8th at 9 p.m. FanDuel's first line they posted on the Warriors was minus 250. And clearly, all the action's coming in on the Warriors because they've moved down to minus 320. So essentially, the way this works is we can go through the math very briefly, and I know it's a little boring, but whatever. So if we go over to an odds converter calculator, right, minus 250 odds means you need to win your plays 71.43% of the time to break even. And if that's confusing, I'll just kind of put it a different way, right? So let's go over to the spreadsheet. So if you're betting at minus 250 odds, right, let's say your unit size is 200, or let's say your unit size is $25, right? So you're betting $25 to win 10 in profit, right? Minus 250 odds, you're betting 25 to win 10 in profit. So what this calculator tells you, this little betting odds converter, is your break-even win rate, right? So when you're betting at minus 250 odds, you have to win 71.43% of your bets just to break even, right? So if you can hit 80% of your bets at minus 250 odds, you'd be profitable. If you can only win 60% of your bets at minus 250 odds, then you're not going to be profitable. You're going to lose money. So let's say, you place, just as an example, let's say you place 10,000 bets at minus 250 odds, right? And let's say you win this percentage, 71.43%. So bets won is going to be equal to 10,000 times 71.43%. So that didn't work. There we go. So you're going to win this many bets, right? If you're winning 71.43% of your plays at minus 250 and you place 10,000 bets at minus 250 odds, you're going to win 7,143 bets. And the amount of bets you're going to lose is obviously just going to be 10,000 minus this number. So 2857, right? So essentially your net profit after 10,000 bets, right? You're going to win 71.43% at minus 250 odds. What you're going to notice is your net profit is going to be zero, right? So you won $10, right? That's your profit if you win, if your unit size is $25. So if your unit size is, $25, you won $10, 7143 times, 7,143 times. The other 2857 times, you lost $25. Your net profit is basically zero, right? Slight difference due to rounding, but $5. So basically what this means is like when you're betting at minus 250 odds, you have to win your player props, or you have to win your bets 71.43% of the time to be profitable. So if people think, like, let's say all these sharp sports bettors or a syndicate, right, or whatever, right? If, like, essentially the way that syndicates work or sharp bettors work is they'll see a line at minus 250 and they'll be like, okay, I think this line is 80% to win. So if you would win 80% of your bets when betting at minus 250 odds, so if you could win 80% of your bets, right, at minus 250 odds, your net profit over the course of these 10,000 bets, if you could win 80% of your plays, right, at minus 250 odds, would be 30,000, right? You'd be up a lot of money. So essentially, this is what's called your break-even win rate. So the way that lines move, so if we go back to the Lakers game tonight and we open up the Lakers-Warriors game and we click on FanDuel, FanDuel has ripped down from minus 250 to minus 320, right? So essentially, people, minus 250 means 71.43%. So maybe there were some sharp bettors who were like, no. We think the Warriors are 75% to win this game. Well, again, your break-even win rate when you're betting at minus 250 using that little odds converter calculator was 71.43%. So let's go back here, right? If you go to this odds converter calculator, when you're betting at minus 250, you have to win 71.43% of your plays to be profitable. So essentially, people were like, maybe a syndicate or whatever. They're like, no. The Warriors are more than 71.43% to win. They're 75% to win, whatever, right? And if they believe that, they're going to hammer the Warriors money line, and then the market adjusts, right? And now you can see the Warriors are bigger favorites. They're minus 320. That's currently where, supply and demand is equal. Maybe lines will move. Maybe lineups will come out and lines will move. Lines can move for any reason, right? But if you go here, so the Warriors initially, when lines opened, were 71.43% to win according to the market. Now they're all the way up at 76.19%. Right. So if, let's say, sharp bettors are like, no, the Warriors are 80% to win, you'd still want to bet on the Warriors at minus 320. Right. Whereas if you're like, oh, so if you put in the Lakers at plus 260, so if you put in plus 260 means 27.78% to win. So if you think the Lakers are over 27.78% to win, then you're going to bet this, right? You'd want to bet on the Lakers plus 260. So this is essentially how, lines move. If, people actually truly believe that the Lakers are more than 27.78% to win, they'll hammer the Lakers money line at plus 260, right? Because it would be a profitable bet. So that's kind of how markets move, right? It's people putting money where, their mouth is, right? That's ultimately what the market reflects, is where is supply and demand equal for bets, and what's the true win probability for a team? Because again, if the Lakers, if we knew for a fact the Lakers were, let's say, 35%, 33% to win, if we knew for a fact the Lakers were a third to win, we would be hammering all of these lines, right, at plus 260 or plus 265. We would, like, if we knew for a fact the Lakers, are going to win this game 1 out of 3 times, we would be rushing to bet these lines at plus 250 because, again, it's just a profitable play. You're beating your break-even win percentage. But anyways, a lot of talk about math. Yeah, Fliff is a pretty profitable platform. I've been able to find a lot of bets on it. Bet Openly is another sports book. I don't have access, or I think I do have access to it, but I haven't signed up. But what we can do is we can go ahead, put in player props. And now you can see there are some plays on Parlay Play. So we might as well place a Parlay Play slip. So Parlay Play is another platform. Again, it's similar to PrizePicks. Again, you want to have as many of these sports books as possible. Never know which book is going to be screwing up on a given day. Here, there's a profitable play on Parlay Play. So, it's really that simple, just kind of following the data. So Zach Wheeler, his over is heavily favored on all the sports books. On Parlay Play, it's very similar payouts to No House Advantage. But basically, on Parlay Play, it's another one of those fixed payout platforms where they're not changing your payout based on you selecting over or under. So you have to win 53.22% of your player props to be profitable on Parlay Play. Right here, the sports books all have Zach Wheeler's over 6.5 strikeouts, pretty heavily favored. So we know his over is more likely than his under. So this is a great play to go with on Parlay Play. Sportsbooks have his over pretty heavily favored, right? So, and then we want Sean Mayina over 4.5 strikeouts. So essentially, just like the price of a stock changes because new information is always coming out, right? Like maybe there's some good news, a good economic report. Stocks go up slightly or a stock goes up slightly. Then, sales, there's some report that, sales are actually lower than expected. The price of the stock goes down a little bit, reacting to new information. It's the same in sports betting, right? As weather changes, lines move around. If it's going to be windy, well, actually, I'm not really sure. But if it's going to be windy, I assume, pitchers are less likely to get strikeouts. So let's say, some forecast comes out. It's actually going to be really windy in the Giants-Nationals game. You'll see sports books make his under slightly more favored, right? Lines are always moving, reacting to new information. And there's a lot of sharp bettors who just essentially, do that. So then we want Leon over 3.5 shots on goal. So lineups come out, right? Like let's say Poole's in the starting lineup tonight for the Warriors. Who knows? Maybe they announce their official lineup. And if Poole's going to be in the starting lineup, that'll affect everyone else's player props, right? That'll affect the total in the game. He's probably he may be a worse or a better defender than who the market initially thought was going to play. So for all these reasons, lines can move. In football, it's weather changes, injuries, lineup changes, whatever, right? Lines are always moving, and just, action coming into the market. So Lonnie Walker over 8.5 points. We were on that play. We were on, I think we had his over 8.5 in the last game too. And then we want Pope under 9.5 points. So on parlay play, now we have our little entry. And again, this is a platform where, there's nothing glamorous to making money on parlay play. It's pretty simple. It's not, the most exciting thing, but if you can win your player props on parlay play over 53.22% of the time, you're going to be profitable. Like, it's really that simple, right? With these fixed payout platforms where they're not changing your payout, you're going to notice this is our payout. Doesn't matter if you take overs or unders. All that matters is your win rate, right? So all you want to do is find, 5 spots where sportsbooks have an over or an under heavily favored. So we want Leon over 3.5 shots on goal. We want Merrill Kelly under 5.5 strikeouts. So just literally follow the data. The data never lies. All the sportsbooks have Kelly's under heavily favored. Not heavily, depends on the sportsbook. Again, all these sportsbooks have slightly different odds from one another. FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings, they're all taking bets, moving around lines in their markets, right? But they all want to be unique. If FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, if all these books had the same exact odds, we wouldn't need hundreds of sports books, right? So all these books want to be slightly different, unique. They want to set lines independently. They want to do it themselves. So that's great for us as sports bettors because it means, more opportunities for sports books to slip up. If books all had the same odds, it would be pretty easy for them to manage lines, right? Or if there were only 2 sports books, it would be a lot harder to find profitable plays. But what's great as a sharp sports bettor is once you get a bunch of sports books, sometimes parlay plays slipping up. Find a lot of profitable plays on them. Sometimes it's Fliff. So Fliff is, it's like an 18 plus sports book. It's available basically everywhere in the US. So you can get it in California, Texas, stuff like that. And there's a lot of profitable bets on it. So I'm glad, this platform that we were able to add it to OddsJam and that they started because, again, they just have a lot of profitable bets and you can use it everywhere. So what you're going to notice too is on PrizePicks, on Parlay Play, they added in this little slider thing. I think you can only use it once per day. But essentially what it lets you do is you're getting the same payout, but you can drop a player's number by half and you're going to get the same payout, right? So 25x, 2.5x, 0.5x, but the maximum stake is $25 when you use this little slider bar thing. So you're going to see here, if we want to, and this seems like a decent pick to use it on, is you can move Zach Wheeler. We already like his over 6.5 strikeouts, right? Sportsbooks have his over 6.5 Ks heavily favored. Again, all you got to do to be profitable on parlay play is win 53.22% of your picks. But then we can even get a little more value, changing it to 6. And again, you can only use this little slider thing once per day. But we want to take Lonnie Walker over 8.5 points. So what you could do is you could slide it and you could take over 8 points, right? Doesn't matter. So you can take his over 8, right? So you can only do this once per day. So it's kind of up to you. You just get an extra half point of value. So we could also take Caldwell Pope under 10, whatever. You can use this on whatever pick you want. So I'll use it on Zach Wheeler. So over 6 strikeouts. And the benefit is, again, their regular line is 6.5, but with this promo, we're getting it at 6. So we're getting a little half strikeout of value, where if Zach Wheeler has exactly 6 strikeouts, right, we would have lost if we took his over 6.5, whereas, 6 versus 6.5, we would have lost. But you're going to see, okay, now, if he has exactly 6 strikeouts, we're going to push. We're going to tie. So we didn't lose. We just tie. And our 6-pick parlay on Parlay Play will become a 5-pick parlay. So what we can do is we can also open up this little screen sportsbook screen. I think I saw a play earlier on LeBron. If I go to player assists. So, yeah. We can check it out, and then we can go back to the positive EV tool. But essentially, like, with this little odd screen thing, you can search for specific players and stuff like that, which is cool and all. But the interesting part about sports betting is, right, first of all, sports books, they have different odds from one another. So even when sports books are setting Zach Wheeler's line at 6.5 strikeouts, right, they all do this completely independently. So here, the sports books have the line correct. They all have his line at 6.5, right? All the books have his line at 6.5, right? So there's no discrepancy in where the line is being set. But sometimes there's differences also in where the line's being set. So you can see that on the screen. It's called the sportsbook screen. We're looking at player assists, but you can obviously, look at whatever you want, total points, whatever, right? It just gives you a grid view of the market. So the positive EV tool, this tool right here, it's comparing prices, right? It's looking for differences in odds. So here, there's no discrepancy between Fliff and FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings on where Pablo Lopez's line should be set. All of these platforms, every sportsbook has his line, or at least all the ones here, have his line set at 6.5 strikeouts, right? The difference, the value is in that Fliff is giving you crazy good odds, right? They're giving us this at minus 110. Fliff is the only sportsbook with his over favored. Every other sportsbook has his under favored. So this is just like, again, we're not thinking, a lot of people think they're smarter than the market. They think they're smarter than the sports books. The truth is like, just if you Google how many people have actually been able to, how many hedge funds like have been able to beat, the S&P 500. So the S&P 500, just whatever, all the biggest companies, kind of combined in a little index, is very few hedge funds can even beat the S&P 500 long term. The truth is it's really hard to beat the market because, again, the market is the reflection of everyone's beliefs. And by that, I mean, if every sharp bettor started hammering thought Lopez was going to go over, it would already be reflected in the odds. If his over should be the favored outcome, right now, all the sportsbooks have his under favored, right? FanDuel has his under at minus 140. Caesars minus 140. Fliff actually is the only sports book that has the over favored. Every other bookmaker has his under 6.5 strikeouts favored. And if, his over should be favored, if Fliff were right, then what everyone would do is they would hammer Lopez over 6.5 strikeouts at plus money, kind of like that example we went through in the Heat one. So long story short, if there was profitable bets in the market, right, if sportsbook odds were, like, some people would be like, how do I know sports books are right? And like, how do I know that the Heat are actually more likely to win the game tonight? So if we go back, to the NBA, kind of tripping over my words today, but whatever. Like, if the Heat actually were more likely to win the game, some people would be like, how do I know the sports books are right that the Knicks should be favored? Well, if the Heat were more likely to win this game, right? Like, if they truly were more likely to win this game, then, I would take out a loan and I would hammer the Heat money line at plus 140 because, again, it would be an incredibly profitable bet. If the Heat were more likely to win this game, we're betting 100 to win 140 in profit. So long story short, if there was value in the market, if there's free money in the market, it would already be gone, kind of thing, which is like, if there were easy money to make, or if sportsbook odds were wrong, I'm trying to think about how to word that, but if sportsbook odds were wrong and then there would be a ton of profitable bets in the market. And I'm tripping over my words here, but I think you get the point. Everything's reflected in the market. So what we can do is we can look at LeBron assists is where I think I found the value. So here, you can see LeBron's line. So things have been moving around, but you're going to see, right? So let me hide that book. Paddy Power, haven't heard of it. I think that's a new book we had at Dodge Jam, but you're going to see all the books here, right? Except for Parlay Play. Parlay Play has LeBron's line at 6 assists. All these other platforms, right? All these other fixed payout fantasy sites like PrizePicks, NHA, as seen on, the little sportsbook screen, they all have his line at 5.5. All the sportsbooks have his line at 5.5. So, like, it's just kind of rational sports betting. You're just following the data. in the market. Some bets you're going to win, some you're going to lose, but when you're following the data, you always win long term. So we want to take LeBron under 6 in this case. But what I was going to say is what we can do is we can remove this play, and then we can take LeBron under 6. But what we can do here is I'm pretty sure we can use this little slider thing and we can get him under 6.5 assists, right? So now with this little, parlay play promo, so we just talked about this no house advantage promo that's really profitable. Parlay play also has really profitable promos. Again, they're just trying to incentivize you to sign up. But we're getting a full point of value to the market, right? Every sportsbook has LeBron's line at 5.5. We're getting under 6.5 now on parlay play. So we have a discrepancy in where books are setting the line. So I'll use my little slider on this, and hopefully your entry amount exceeds the maximum. So I guess the max for this promo is actually $20. So whatever, I'll hit it for 20. So Zach Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts, Sean Maina over 4.5 strikeouts, Merrill Kelly under 5.5 strikeouts, Leon Draisaitl over 3.5 shots on goal, Lonnie Walker over 8.5 points. And then we're getting LeBron under 6.5 assists on parlay play, which is a platform, a fixed payout platform. It works almost exactly like PrizePicks, right? And you're going to see PrizePicks, they have LeBron's line at 5.5, right? So we're just looking for value in the market. And it's one of those things where, you may think you can beat the market as a trader, as, picking your stocks, whatever, but it's just most people can't do it. I mean, 99.9% of people can't do it. It's really weird to think about, and it was very hard for me to wrap my head around initially too. But like, the market is smart. The consensus of all beliefs is smart, right? Lines are set where they are. Stock prices are where they are because of, the opinions of everyone. It's kind of conjoined, right? If the price of Bitcoin should actually be higher, every hedge fund, every trading firm would have bought Bitcoin, right? And then the price would be higher, right? It would already be reflected in the market. If the price of Bitcoin should actually be lower, it already would be lower, right? If people actually sold their position. So, the market reflects what people are actually willing to bet on, right? What people are actually willing to put money on. So all of these sports books, right, are data points, right? If everyone was hammering Harden's over 8.5 assists on PrizePicks, if there was value on his over, PrizePicks already would have moved his line up from 8.5 to 9 to maybe 9.5. These sports books move around lines due to supply and demand. So long story short, the market is, the consensus of everyone's beliefs. So when you can get a full point of value, to everyone's beliefs, that's pretty good. But regardless, here's another play on Harden, right? So Harden's line is 9 on parlay play. All these sports books, again, are data points telling you where a line should be set. So Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, they have Harden's line at 8.5. We're getting 9 on parlay play. Pretty good value, right? So we want to take the under, right? Underdog Fantasy and PrizePicks, again, are two platforms. They work almost exactly like parlay play. They have Harden's line lower. All the sports Harden's line lower. So granted, the sports books have a little bit of juice towards the over, but still, right? As a sharp bettor, we're using all these sports books. They're all just data points telling us where a line should be set. Caesars has a slightly different model than BWin, has a slightly different model and way of pricing odds than Betway, right? So if, let's say, if on, FanDuel, let's say all of FanDuel's customers start betting Harden's over, then FanDuel may move their over 8.5 assists from, minus 130 to minus 135 if there's just an unbalanced amount of action coming in on the over. So that's kind of why books have different odds, right? Because again, they have slightly different models from one another. They're taking bets from different people. So if FanDuel has some, really smart people, some smart cookies, and they're all hammering Harden over 8.5 assists, then FanDuel may be the first sports book to move lines from minus 130 to minus 135 to minus 140. And then maybe, people start betting it on DraftKings, right? And then DraftKings may move from minus 125 to minus 135. And you'll see that, like books move lines at different speeds. So if you look at like the Lakers game, right, you're going to see the Warriors opened at minus 250. They're all the way down to minus 320 on FanDuel now. And you can see this is kind of how they moved around lines, right? So action came in. So initial action, actually, it looks like came in on the Lakers because they moved the Warriors to slightly better odds, minus 245. And then it's been all basically downhill since then, right? Minus 310 they were on May 9th at 8 a.m. Then it looks like, action started coming in on the Lakers a bit. Maybe there was some news, whatever, who knows, right? It's really hard to know exactly the reason all these line movements occurred, but you're going to see all these sports books, they move odds in slightly different ways. WinBet, they also opened the Warriors at minus 250, and this was their path down, right? So you're going to see the Warriors, they now have minus 340. So you just, long story short, there's no like perfect formula for line movement or understanding this stuff. It's really just about following the data. Here, Caesars, they had the Warriors at minus 225. Now they have the Warriors at minus 335, right? So what we can do is we can go back to the positive EV tool. We can refresh this. Maybe there's some plays on Fliff. So I'm going to lock in this play on Fliff, right? And I've explained this before too, but like you want to place as many bets as you can as a sharp, sports bettor. More bets is objectively better. And the way to kind of think about that as I lock this in, I'll also share my bet tracker profile. Just if you want to follow all my plays, it syncs for, most sports books. Pickett Sports is, the bet tracker I use. And the reason I like it is, again, it just like, so you'll see, I would show this bet, but Fliff, it's not like these platforms. It doesn't have a website. You have to bet it through your phone. I think it's app only. And then we can start placing together a little parlay play slip. So here's the first play I went with on parlay play. If you wanted to see it, what I went with for this promo, again, they have that little slider thing that you can use once per day. So then I'm going to go back to pick 'em, and I'm going to take Harden under 9 assists, right? That's the first play I'm going to go with. So, these plays can sometimes seem random, but the truth of the matter is like, that's kind of how it is. Like, when I was a trader, when I was working in markets, right, it's like, you don't know where the value is going to be, on a given day. Sometimes there's more value in, tech stocks, and tech stocks are going crazy, and, the price goes up. Like, you never know. So long story short, it's like, just imagine, I mean, obviously, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if Jalen Brunson gets injured, basketball lines are going to be flying around. There's going to be tons of opportunity. Every player on the Knicks, player props have to adjust, right? Like, obviously, the money line, the Heat are going to become more favored because Brunson's out, but also all the other player props have to change, right? Jalen Brunson, his line is over under 6.5 assists. Where are those 6.5 assists going, right? How are the Knicks going to play differently? How does that affect player prop lines, right? Like when there's injury news or lineup changes, like there can be pretty big line movements, which leads to, sometimes the best betting opportunities, the craziest, most profitable betting opportunities. You never know why lines are going to move. And sometimes there's more value in the MLB. Sometimes it's NHL. Sometimes it's tennis. So like when I place bets on tennis, it's not because, like I have this tennis play I gave out on Twitter. It's not because I like particularly like tennis. I don't have any problem with tennis, but like, sometimes there's value in tennis. Sometimes it's hockey. Sometimes it's basketball. Sometimes there's more plays on parlay play. Sometimes there's more plays on PrizePicks. You really don't know. But anyways, let me share my bet tracker profile. So here's my Pickett Sports profile. And again, you can follow. No, I don't really worry about that. And the reason is like, there can be value on an over, there can be value on an under. So like you can imagine this play on Justin Steele, we're getting a really good price, profitable play on his under 5.5 strikeouts at minus 120. But let's say FanDuel, they screw up big time and they give you the over at plus, just imagine something crazy, plus 400. Well, then obviously we're going to want to bet the over 5.5 strikeouts on FanDuel at, plus 400 if all the other books have it at plus 100. So, there's a whole betting tool on OddsJam. It's called arbitrage betting, which is basically, placing bets on equal and opposite outcomes on two sports books to make a risk-free profit. So you're going to see here, Schroeder, there's huge discrepancies in where his assist line should be set. TonyBet has his over at minus 250. FanDuel has it 220 cents at minus 470. So what you can actually do, right? Arbitrage betting is you can hit the over on TonyBet, the under on FanDuel. So this is called arbitrage betting. And again, you need more than one sports book. You have to have both of these sports books. But essentially, like, there's people who will only arbitrage bet. And what arbitrage betting is doing is you're taking advantage of inefficiencies in sportsbook odds to make a risk-free profit. It's kind of like, trying to think of a good example. It's kind of like if, your friend is like, hey, I want to buy some t-shirt. I'll pay you $10 for it. And then your other friend wants to sell the t-shirt and he'll sell it for $8. Well, you buy it from him for $8. You sell it to your other friend for $10. So it's kind of the same thing in sports betting here, right? Arbitrage just means sports books have big enough differences in their odds that you could bet the over on one platform. In this case, it's TonyBet at minus 250. You could bet the under on FanDuel at plus 280, and you would make a risk-free profit. That's arbitrage betting, 2.26%. Risk-free money sports betting. And I'm not saying it's easy. It requires time. But this is actually how I made, a lot of my initial money sports betting. My first like $45,000. I didn't even, place bets. All I did was, or I did place bets, but I didn't risk money. All I did was I did arbitrage betting, which is making risk-free money due to discrepancies in sportsbook odds. Like here, again, you can see an arbitrage play between Pinnacle and Cut, two sports books. So I don't have, Pinnacle is not a sports book in the US, but you can imagine if you were in Canada or you have both these sports books, whatever, right? For the Blue Jays, you're getting plus 101. For the Phillies, you're getting plus 106. So we can just go through, the example very quickly. So the Phillies are plus 101. The Blue Jays are plus 106. Right, so the Blue Jays are plus 101. The Phillies are plus 106 on Cut. So again, due to differences in sportsbook odds, you can get both of these plays at plus money, right? So this was on Pinnacle, and then this was on Cut, right? So just imagine, you can imagine, okay, what if I placed a bet, right? Here are the respective odds. And again, like, you may not have these sports books, but arbitrage betting is all about having, more than one sports book and taking advantage of big discrepancies in sportsbook odds. So we'll just go through this example very briefly. So imagine just saying like, okay, you put $100 on the Phillies at plus 101 odds on Pinnacle. You put $100 on the Blue Jays at plus 106 odds on Cut. So if you placed both of these bets, right, you hit the Phillies for $100, you hit the Blue Jays for $100 at plus 101. There's two things that can happen, right? There's no such thing as a tie in baseball or a push in baseball. And if there was a push, like let's say there's a rain delay, you're just going to get a refund, right? That's called pushing or whatever. Like the sportsbook will just refund your bet. So one of the two things is going to happen. The Phillies are going to win or the Blue Jays are going to win. And then this is going to be your profit on Cut, profit on Pinnacle, and then we can do net profit. So we can make this a little bigger. So if we bet $100 on the Phillies at plus 101 odds and the Phillies win on Pinnacle, our profit's going to be $101, right? We bet $100 at plus 101 odds on Pinnacle, which again is just the odds on Pinnacle right here. So we're up $101. On Cut, we bet $100 on the Blue Jays money line. So we're down $100. So our net profit, if the Phillies win, is we're up 101 on Pinnacle. We're down $100 on Cut. So our net profit, I apologize, would be $1. We're up $1, right? Which may not seem glamorous, but you got to, it is glamorous, and we can explain that in a sec. Now, if the Blue Jays win on Cut, I'm up $106, right? And on Pinnacle, I'm down $100. So my net profit is going to be $6. So in both cases, if I put $100 on both teams, what am I doing? Negative 100. So then this is just this plus this. So in both cases, my net profit's profitable. My net profit is positive. So I'm making money regardless. And that's essentially what arbitrage betting is. And I liked it initially. The reason I used this sports betting strategy initially is it's literally risk-free money. And it's not easy to do. it requires work. You have to find the arbitrage bets. You have to have numerous sports books. You got to log in and you got to place your bets. But essentially, if your bankroll was $250 on cut, you place 250 on cut. This calculator tells you, okay, exactly how much to bet on both sides. So let's say your bankroll is $250 on cut. So you follow the calculator, you bet 250 on the Phillies at plus 106 odds. You bet 256.22 on the Blue Jays at plus 101 odds. Your profit is going to be $8. You're making a risk-free $8. It doesn't matter if the Blue Jays win or the Phillies win. Doesn't matter which team wins. You're making $8.78. So it may not seem glamorous, but when I got home from work, what I would do is pull up DraftKings, Caesars, all these different sportsbook accounts, DraftKings, Caesars, and I would hit arbitrage bets. And it takes, a minute to place bets. As long as you can move quick, you know how to navigate the sports books, because again, lines can move at any time. Great lines, they're not going to last forever. But if you know how to navigate the sports books, let's say you're in Canada, you have TonyBet, you have FanDuel, you log into both accounts. Let's say you have whatever, $400 on TonyBet. You hit this for $400. You hit this for $147.37. You're $12 richer. Go buy dinner. And again, that's what's crazy about sports betting is you're betting on games that are today. In general, you're going to be betting on games that are today. That's really what's so powerful about sports betting is if you can get an advantage, if you can get an edge, your returns are daily. So for example, if you have BetUS and you have Bet365, here's a 1.42% arbitrage play, right? This game is starting in 24 minutes. So Bet365, I think it's legal in 5 states in the US, but it's available all over the world. It's available in Canada, places like that. So you just, you hit this arbitrage bet, you're 1923 richer. Pretty simple. 1.42% profit margin. In this return you're getting today, right? So getting a 1% risk-free return, even a 1% risk-free return, it requires work. Most people are just, too lazy. Sports betting requires a lot of work, a lot of hustle. You got to have numerous sportsbook accounts, but you can make a lot of money doing it because there are literally, people who use OddsJam full time who literally just sit on this page. They have all these sportsbooks and they go from bet to bet. For the sports books they use, nobody will have all of these sports books, and they just hit arbitrage bets, make $10 on this play. Oh, okay, I have Bovada, I have WinBet. Okay, cool. Let me pull this up, hit this play. Now I'm $11 richer, and you just keep doing that. Some plays may move, right? Some days there may be a little less arbitrage bets. Some lines may move on you. You may go to, WinBet, and their line may be now at 4.5, right? Or maybe they change the odds to minus 140. So it's not like you're going to hit every single play. You got to move fast. Some days there's going to be more opportunities than others. Sometimes, right after an injury or something like that. Once lineups are announced, typically in the NBA, once teams announce their official lineups and it's public information, typically lines start to move. There's a lot of arbitrage bets, but you got to move quick. And it's really that simple because, great bets, they're not going to last forever, and you just have to move fast. You have to have numerous sportsbook accounts, but you can make money pretty easily arbitrage betting. So this is a crazy play, it looks like, on parlay play. So what we can do is we can go back here. So Gabe Vincent, his assist line is 4.5 on parlay play. So let's just go ahead. Let's open up player assist. Let's reload this. Let's see what's going on. So we can go over to Gabe Vincent. So let's scroll. Where's Gabe Vincent? We're going to see him right here once these odds start to populate, and then we can refresh this, see if there's any more profitable plays. So what's going on with Gabe Vincent's line? So you're going to see, this is interesting, right? All the sports books have his line at 3.5. Parlay play has his line at 4.5. 4.5 on parlay play, 4 on Underdog, 4 on PrizePicks. Why did they just put Gabe Vincent's line at 4.5? I don't know, right? Sportsbooks aren't perfect. They don't have a million employees. And they have, if you look at this platform, so we want this, and then we want Vincent. under 4.5 assists, and I'll try to move quickly because this is obviously, pretty good value. But like what you can do is you can click on Odds Jam and you're going to see they just released this line 2 minutes ago, right? So sportsbooks, they slip up occasionally, right? They have a lot of lines to manage. Lines are always moving around. They're just not perfect, right? So as a sharp bettor, you're essentially looking for mispriced bets, which is essentially the same thing if you think about, and a lot of people are like, oh, what do you mean mispriced? It's just kind of like if you think about what is an investor doing, what's a stock market investor doing? They're looking for stocks that are too cheap, mispriced stocks. What's an investor doing? Looking for undervalued assets, mispriced buildings or whatever. So it's no different in sports betting. You're looking for where sportsbooks are slipping up and offering too much value. So why did they release this line? A couple of minutes ago, I have no idea, but that's definitely a play we're going with. So what we can do is we can just open up, a few. So it looks like they just locked the line. So if I refresh this, and this is what I mean by lines can move quick. Nope, they still have his line at 4.5. Interesting. So you can see like Odds Jam will show these little locked emojis if the sports book removes the line very quickly. But what we can do is we can just okay, LeBron James, we already hit his under 6, pretty clear value. All the books have his line at 5.5 assists. Harden, right? We want to take his under 9. Okay. Any more plays out here? And maybe not. So what we can do then is go to player rebounds or player rebounds plus assists. Never know where the value is going to be on a given day. So we can also open up this little fantasy optimizer thing. Maybe there's some plays on parlay play. This tool is just a little nicer. So some of these plays we already bet. And sometimes you're not going to be able, to get the plays quickly enough. So Gabe Vincent under 4.5 assists is a great play, but we need picks to pair with it. So we want his under, we want Harden's under, we want Pope's under for points. So lining up to be a lot of unders. Just grabbing plays from the positive EV tool. And then we want Sean Mahina over 4.5 strikeouts. We want Leon Draisaitl over 3.5 shots on goal. All in the data. Again, kind of weird, including NHL, NBA picks in the same slip. Maybe, but the value, again, parlay plays a platform. All you got to do to make money on it is win 53.22% of your player props. So, who cares if there's more plays in the NHL, more plays in, whatever. So then we want Lonnie Walker over 8.5 points. So this is going to be my entry. So we want Gabe Vincent under, Harden under, Caldwell Pope under, Maina over, and then 3 overs, right? Over all the sports books, just following the data. Nothing, super glamorous about it, but this is how you make money. You follow the data. All the sports books are telling you Draisaitl's over, pretty heavily favored. That's a great play to include. So let's see how much, if they let me. So max bet size of $60 on parlay play. You can see that right here. We are working on submitting your picks. You already reached your limit. So there we go. I was able to bet it for $40. So you can see that play right there. They allow maximum bet sizes of $60 per day. With the promo, we already bet $20 on Lonnie Walker, so I'm only going to be able to bet this for another $40, but regardless, that's what I went with. Anyways, I'm going to hop off for a bit, get some food, but hopefully this video was helpful. You can always, I'll put my email here, you can always reach out with any questions and stuff like that. So hopefully this was helpful. Yeah, what's up, Colin?